So this is the first replay I got here. I started playing this team right about halfway into my run. And as you can see, like I didn't really give too much thought into it. I'm bringing fighting monks on a mage Rosen. So yeah, this team isn't fully tweaked yet at this point. And you can see it's a very similar matchup except for the fact that he's using Altamura as a tank and a physical tank at that. So, I'm not going to show through everything. I'm just going to show the important parts of the game. So, first one is that Betty actually soft counters Rosen because Betty just does a lot of debuffs for no reason. I'm actually not entirely sure how she works because you can see here, she has 4 stacks of Rosen immunities. She goes in, she AoEs my team, and pretty much nothing happens because I have Mass Critter heal and I heal back. Takes a fat load of damage, burns all the debuffs of everyone, and gets a passive block so she cannot retreat with backtrack. So that was pretty funny. And, I don't know. So 5 stacks on Altamura, 5 stacks on Emmerich, 4 stacks on Knight of Mystery. And after 1 AoE, no stacks left on any one of them. And Knight of Mystery has 1 debuff. So I have no idea how that fucking debuff works. Because based on the talent, she has a 30% chance to apply 1 random debuff. I don't know, is this based on per people hit or what? Because the only other debuff she does with what I currently have set up is this one. So after a friendly unit within talent range is attacked, the attacker and 2 enemies within 3 blocks are afflicted with the effect. Damage dealt decreased by 15%, so it's 1 debuff. So what I'm thinking is, the debuff actually applies per unit being hit, but normally you will have the debuff after, getting it once. So it's not a stacking debuff, so normally you only get 1 debuff. But because Rosen has immunity, and she hit 5 people, so it actually just constantly reapplies. And that's why there are no stacks left on any of these units. So that's my theory, and I don't see any other explanation for it. So it's like, she got affected by this damage dealt decreased by 15% 5 times because she had 5 people. And yeah, that's my guess basically. So yeah, she got stuck here, I killed it, and then Emmerich damage is kinda ass if you run him with this kind of set. Like 1k attack, this is probably still on Yggdrasil branch if you didn't change it. Royal Caps don't do much damage. And you can see the damage is very undesirable. You'll probably need to run a more offensive set if you want him to kill stuff. Yeah, kills the troops, and that's pretty trash damage. And his exclusive is actually a soft Rosen counter as well if he gets to stick around for long. So I punch it, doesn't do much damage, I just move out of the way. And here, he moves his Altamura at the start of the turn and he chooses not to kill my Florentia, not sure why. So I just heal it back up. Hits again and does less than no damage. And here we will see why Altamura is not a good tank. Because, yeah, I attacked with 3C, so I did some damage here. And Altamura has no stacks, this is not SP, so he heals it back. Actually no, he doesn't have a heal, I think. Does he? What do you do? Oh no, he doesn't have it, so he just hits me. And Lanford just goes in and cooks him. No fucks given. So it's infantry into Lancer troops, as well as the... This time I bought 3C, so later on I learned that his 2C does fixed damage, and I pretty much brought that ever since, and this game's over. So yeah, looking at this box is pretty much... It's fairly similar. 2 healers, 2 tanks, and then a bunch of assassins. So we will see the matchup against Petsia in this game. Because, I mentioned earlier in the video that Petsia actually matches up well against both of these guys. So first thing that happened this game was him running out of Mass Crystal on Elma, which allowed Omega to kill her with a skill, even though the Dark Elf snipers don't proc against a non-full health. But it's enough to kill a healer. Barely enough, probably. I'm not even sure. But a kill's a kill. And then beyond that, I just tried to damage check with Emmerich. So I placed debuff on Lanford because there's no point putting debuff on Emmerich himself. And you can see the damage is very trash even though I brought an offensive troop. So I guess I'll cover the gears later on, but I'm actually running Apex boots on my Emmerich to try and, get as much mobility and attack as possible. And it does nothing to an Assassin Petseer. At first I did this because I wanted to lock the Petseer here, and no matter how she moves, unless you move your Freya like here, which will give Lanford enough space to ignore guard with this buff. So what I didn't notice was that this Petseer had a Tenure Breeze, so he actually just ran back, because he knows that if the Petseer stays here, it will die to Lanford. But because he ran away, I have plenty of time to just heal up. And this one was just me doing a damage check. Don't try this at home, it doesn't do damage. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have an attack buff or anything, so even though Dark Elf snipers have their effect, it doesn't do anything in the face of 85% damage reduction. How much is this? Yeah, it's 90% damage reduction, so yeah, do not try this at home. But I was just doing a damage check anyway. But after this, Florentia comes in clutch, gives egg again. I move next to the double tanks, and Lanford just gets cooking, just like the last game. I have no idea if it's like a same types attract kind of thing, but ever since I started running this box, I started to run into very similar lineups as well. So this guy has 1 unit difference, he has an Eltamuller, I have a Betty. 1 unit difference. So this game, there's actually not too much I want to show. It's to showcase the tankiness of Betty, as you will see soon. So here, let's see. Okay, he acted again, and Lanford is coming in. So these are the buffs I have on my Betty now. Empire buff and Miracle, and Guard skill. And his Emmerich doesn't have anything except for Chivalry. So with this passive Solidarity, I get plus 15% defense MDef, and that gives me about 1k defense. This build I'm playing with Dragon Slayer Graham for more HP and SSM for fixed damage immunity. And even though I bring Lancer troops, I take, I ate that up pretty well. So, well prepared lunch. And I have a lot of HP left on my body left to spare. So yeah, even though a Chivalry Lanford with like 70k attack does about this much to a Betty. Granted, I have Miracle, but Dark Centurion isn't exactly the tankiest troop. There are no defensive stats on this. I brought it purely because it was a Lancer troop. And I wanted to be able to do more damage if I survive. So that was pretty much the rationale for it. Okay, I healed her up back to 89%. I acted again my Lanford. And Eltamuller's damage. So granted, I proc defenders here. Yeah, you can see that Betty is kind of tanky against physical, even though she gets cooked by mages. Second hit, not enough to kill Betty, barely misses the kill, even though he heals back up from the vampire bats. So yeah, with some defender procs, she managed to barely live, and at this point she has outlived her usefulness, as I just kill his DPSs. It didn't really matter if the Elder managed to kill on the second hit, because even if he takes 1 healer, which I'm not sure he will be able to without a skill, he'll just get cleaned up. So he killed my Betty, and then he proc Gale, but he cannot run away because he ended turn next to Emmerich, as I just Chivalry and kill him. Because Chain Lightning basically has a 1 turn cooldown if you score the kill. So if you use Chain Lightning, Chivalry, you will get your Chain Lightning back. So that's a pretty nice thing about both this skill and the 3C. And I brought this skill because 1, I want to bring his faction buff for the magic defense, and also because this is the skill that does fixed damage. Where is it? Yeah, this deals fixed damage before this unit attacks, and when landing critical hit deals fixed damage after. And both of these are 1x0 attack. So even though this has a lower multiplier, I like it for the fixed damage because it allows you to kill Last Rites or Shrine Maiden units. And yeah, this is the end of this game. So in my final game, this is my 10th game, I fight a exact mirror box. So when I saw this box, I know it was probably someone in Paragon's Discord because this team got passed around a little bit. And it was. So the first thing we would like to look at are the teams. So I chose to ban Emmerich as I felt like Emmerich was a higher threat in such a mirror matchup. And I banned Rosen second to kind of thin out the sustain. Whereas he went for my Omega first ban because that was what was recommended. And what did he ban second? He banned my Betty. So not really sure what the Betty is for. Because, you know, there's 2 AoEs here. So I don't think Betty was much of a threat. But, you know, I guess he doesn't want to deal... No, he doesn't know that I'm going to ban the Rosen. So, yeah, I don't know. He banned Betty and that's about it. So the first thing you'll note is that I brought DPS troops on everything. Also, my tanks has... Hoplite is Hilda's best offensive troop. Wizards, because I would bring monks if I ran Holy Florentia, but I'm not, so I brought wizards, and I have monks on Rosen. So, because I foresee that this is going to be a brawling game in the middle, and that's why I went with more damage troops. So the first thing I want to show is this. I think he made a mistake. Maybe he doesn't understand Omega that well, but he brought Shinobis into Hilda, and he also didn't bring mass attack on Florentia. So this actually makes for a very close damage count. And it does quite a fair bit of damage onto Emmerich, more than I would have expected. So he managed to do 12k damage. So granted, I'm running a slightly more offensive version of Emmerich, and Emmerich also has Aeolus that can proc that will turn this into a non-kill. But if he either brought Dark Elves or an attack buff from Florentia, I think my Emmerich would have died. And that will pretty much be the end of the game, as I cannot ignore guard, and he's going to slowly farm my healers. Yeah, but because it didn't die, I managed to go in. I used my counterplot for healing, but I don't have debuff, so I can't fucking heal. But because most of the damage took is on the body, so I actually have my full damage potential here, and I managed to kill the Omega. Presumably through Last Rites, because I don't know why you would not run Last Rites. But as I run back, because my hero HP is so low, I end up getting tapped by the Betty AoE. And, you know, I'm not gonna fucking play this, but this turns into a fist fight. Pretty much everyone's in the middle and just starts punching each other. But as we get nearer to the center, you know, first thing I want to point out is that I'm losing the Tower Wall because I used mine at the start, whereas he used Hilda's Tower skill only when she reached into the center. So it's hard for me to act again while I'm on the towers. And the second thing I want to point out is that I'm doing better in the sustain department. So as a result of that, he only has 1 healer, and he has to heal the tank at the start of every turn, which means that Florentia cannot make use of her act again properly as she's stuck healing. So I managed to neutralize the disadvantage of not being able to use act again, because the Florentia is forced to move first. And because I brought the DPS troops on Hilda, the Lanford is actually taking a fair bit of damage every time he hits me, or anyone else for that matter. And I'm doing more damage into the tank with my healers especially. So eventually, the thing about this matchup is that even though he has 4 units in the middle, but Hilda's guard will run out at some point once you use the 3C, because you cannot override the 3C with the 2C because it has a shorter duration. So he has 2 options. One is to retreat the Florentia back to guard and concede the 3rd spot to me. Or 2, when the guard runs out, I'm just going to kill the Florentia, which is pretty much what happened. And yeah, so I just pretty much won by that. I think I would have won by damage anyway. So if you look at the damage counter here, yeah, I'm winning by a comfortable margin, and I don't see myself getting overtaken in damage even in the last 2 turns, even if I have to give up 2 of my units. So yeah, eventually his guard runs out and that will be the end of it. So anyway, to end off this video, I'll be showing the gears on each of these units. So, you know, technically this should have been in the first video, but now that there's more context because you've seen how this team plays out, it'll be easier to explain, I suppose. So first off, Lanford, I'm running Full Moon Enchant for him to get maximum bulk, because some reason this hero gets 3 radiant chance, whereas Betty doesn't get a single one. Because if there was Tree of Life, I'll probably run that for defensive purposes. Although I would say it's not really needed given the units that are available. For his weapon, I chose to run Demon Slayer instead of Dragon Slayer Grab. So I tried to build him to do a bit more damage. So I gave up the 8 HP on the stats here, and also the base 400 HP on the weapon itself. So because he gets crit percent from his skills, and also he has very high skill stat due to his talent and his base as well, S rank skill. So I wagered that, you know, having crit might help him score some kills or just do more damage into their tank in a fist fight. So the rest of the gear is pretty much self-explanatory. Bloodline or Tiamat are both okay. Tiamat will probably give him a better chance against opposing pets here. Although I will argue that Petsia actually, you know, it's not easy for her to one-shot a land foot with faction buff because this hero is a stat stick. So I've never been in that matchup, but it's an option that you can consider. You know, if you wear Tiamat and you still die to Petsia, then yeah, you can take it off and just run Bloodline. So yeah, they both have 5% HP, so not much difference there. OLB is just the overall most stats. You can run Red Stocking if you want more mobility alongside with Breeze. So that is up to you, but this is what I'm running on him. So next up, we have Hilda. Hilda actually, you know, it's nothing special. Just running Thorns to try and reflect heal people. There's no steal here anyway. Hard Rock is kind of shit. Tree of Life is kind of whatever. So yeah, it's actually just standard Hilda stuff. There's no Ragnarok for some reason, so I run Throne Guardian for the HP. And you can run Aeneas if you want to max out on the bulk. I couldn't be bothered, so I just run Tyr anyway. You know, it helps to deal more counter damage, as you can see in the last replay. Other than that, there's no heal block really, so you actually don't need Blood Pact. You can just run Overlord's Badge for more HP. But, you know, I didn't really think too much about this, and I couldn't really be bothered, so I kept Blood Pact for the HP. So yeah, that's it for Hilda. Rosen, I'm not even gonna explain too much. I actually just kept this one because yeah, you can see I really didn't put any effort into figuring out the gears, but ideally you'll probably run something like this. You can run Tenios if you want more survivability, but Rosen suffers from having very bad heal numbers, so I run Twilight Guard. And as for the helmet, yeah, just run Tenios. This one will help against fixed damage, like stuff like Ragnarok users, because you can probably tank a Lanford even with a Shrine Maiden plus Heart of Redemption, but I'm not really sure because Lanford lacks damage increase. So yeah, this is pretty much the standard Rosen set even for normal Apex Arena. Betty unfortunately suffers from having garbage gear choices, so Dragon Slayer has the most HP and SSM or OLB, that depends on you. So I like having the fixed damage immunity more than the raw HP from Overlord's Badge, although I would say it's okay choice as well. For his armor, not much choice. Helmet is exclusive, Enchant is Steel because Tree of Life Hard Rock. I guess they really wanted Betty to be played as a tank this time around. Omega, nothing unusual as well. It's just the classic Breeze with Uller's Bow, the skill accessory, and his exclusive because, you know, King's Crown is okay, but I don't find King's Crown being that good in this mode, and this one helps you run down the cooldown when you are bringing Knowing Strike, which is fairly often if you fight into tank push teams. For Florentia doesn't even get the fixed immune accessory, so you just run Goddess Tier in case you're playing against AoE and they ban your Rosen, so you have an easier time dispelling debuffs with the combo of Nightbloom, Goddess Tier, and Forest Priest. So, you know, you might get overwhelmed, but at least you will be able to get some good dispels off. She doesn't suffer from healing numbers, so she can just run Tenyo and double Tenyo, because I wouldn't say that you are expecting your teammates to die with this team especially, so yeah, just take Tenyos and clock for her 3C. You can run Crystal if you really want, but I don't think it's needed. And last but not least, Emmerich. So weapon rise, he doesn't get fucking Ragnarok, so you have to stick to Throne Guardian. Please don't run Yggdrasil Branch, it's not worth it. Yeah, last night is not worth it as well. Aeolus is better than Bloodline because I don't think you will be tanking too much melee, and not many melee units, if at all, can kill you. I don't even think Ares can kill you if he hits you straight. You're mostly dying to things like Omega and Petzir, so Aeolus will help you the most in that regard. Helmet wise, Fury if you want maximum damage, but you'll be giving up the 10% HP on this, and I don't think that damage is the 10% damage increase is enough to help him score kills that he wouldn't be able to otherwise. So I just stuck with his exclusive. And Apex Boots Breeze for more reach, because if he had Overlord's Badge, I'll probably use that, but he doesn't. So I don't really like using Wing Shin Guard because I think defense is a scam. And you can see here the enchant, I don't know why he has 10% crit here instead of defense, but the defense numbers don't look that great. You can see here only 6% compared to the 15% of HP, so I felt there was no point in stacking HP. There's no point in stacking defense. So I stuck to Red Stocking to try and make his positioning easier, because when he procs Breeze and he has an Act Against skill, he can dive quite deep into the enemy lines, so that was the rationale I read. And his other enchants are kind of meh, so Breeze it is. And yeah, that will be it for this video. Hope you guys have enough time to get at least 7 wins for the 15 enchant packs. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.